Welcome back, fam. Alright, some ships and whips sounded like a good idea at first, maybe plunk some cash down for them, then they just really haven't worked out at all. I bet you already got an idea what ships on the list. So let's go on and look at 7 of the worst offenders. As a content creator that's been covering this game for years, the funniest, but also cringiest aspect has always been watching a new feature, ship, weapon, or anything new drop and going, alright, what the f did they see happening with that? Alright, let me show you what I mean. What? In your head, the Drake Mule sounded like a cool addition to the verse. Little bitty forklift that zips boxes around all day. It's pretty quick for a little box on warehouse safe wheels, and it looks right at home in the liquor depot styled self-land hangars. You'd also might think, man, I could park my ship way out of range of turrets, throw an SCU box on the mule, and still loot up a bunker like a boss, whether I'm trespassing or not. Nope, the mule can't mule boxes anywhere. The forks move up and down and it looks legit, but they don't grab boxes. You can kind of tractor beam a box into the back, but that's a pain and it doesn't work well. 3 years and it has never worked, ever. But even if it did, moving 2 boxes around a hangar ain't the most useful thing in most cases. Box in the front, 1 in the back, maybe if you forklift certified, you can stack 2 in the front. Maybe. Only time a vehicle that can move 2 boxes might be useful, right now anyway, is if you spawned a capital ship and you just needed to grab a couple things. It'll cut down the time of getting a box out the freight elevator to the ship way out in the middle of the hangar. But even that's a stretch, because unless you've already got a mule on board your ship, you gotta drop the cap ship, raise the mule, move it out the way, then bring the cap ship back up. That's like 3-4 minutes just to move 2 boxes. Makes more sense just to use an Atlas, right? The mule's already been supplanted by the Argo CSVSM, and it can carry 4 SCU boxes, which ain't exactly knocking it out the park, but a working 4 beats a broken 2 any day of the week now. The CSVSM didn't make this list since it's kind of useful in a big hangar with a big ship, and it'll be clutch for moving construction materials and supplies around base building when that comes online. The mule, I don't know, man. Do you think it's worth the resources to get it working? Doesn't need a rework. What it needs is just to be a different vehicle. The SRV sounded pretty damn dope before it dropped. Man, I can grab people's crashed ships and tow them back to the hangar so they can recover their goods, salvage, or repair it. Everybody's gonna need me, and I'll make enough money to rule the entire universe. What really happened was, for some reason, CIG released it in the wild and there was no need for it. So they had to invent something for it to do. You know how they had those salvage mission ships that you gotta clean up before somebody crashes the party, which fails the mission, plus you get shot up? Well, my friend, if you were the proud new owner of an Argo SRV when it released, you could just tow the ship maybe 30 kilometers or so and be paid handsomely for the effort. That's it. That's all it was good for. And those missions are changed now. Now that the abandoned player ships can be towed, you scan them up and they show up with gamer rules. Now that you can tow them without a crime stat, every once in a while, you get the opportunity to be of use to your fellow citizens by clearing landing pads or blocked hangars where folks just leave their ships to get a pack of cigarettes and never return. But there's no money in it, no missions or beacons to get paid for your efforts, so you'd have to do it from the goodness of your heart. And there are folks willing to do that, but judging by the piles of Argo rafts at outposts, looks like folks have probably already abandoned their SRVs on the RSI site. I'm gonna get some pushback for this one, but whatever. The first capital-sized ship in the game was met with much fanfare until folks figured out how beautifully vapid it is. It's big, it's exquisite, and has no part in the gameplay food groups. Back when it first dropped, 890 owners were out there doing box runs in this big-ass ship, cause why not? Might as well get some kind of use out of it. It actually has some decent punch in the turrets for defensive measures, but it's a job trying to line that thing up with anything it could possibly take out. Now that other cap ships are out there roaming the verse, the few things that made the 890 interesting, like a tier 1 bed and ship hangars, well, those things ain't unique to the 890 no more. Cool ship, but there's just not much use case for it. Actually, it's still really good as a party ship. Even more so since it's got PDCs to protect it while you standing around in your underbritches doing emotes. You want to get together with some buddies and hang out? It's actually got some atmosphere conducive to that. I've done roundtable discussion live streams with other content creators on it. We've had FPS events on it. You know what it is? The 890 is actually a better venue than it is a ship to integrate into your gameplay. And it'll stay that way until Passenger Play comes out in the year of our Lord 2030. The Mist Starfarer, as incredible as its potential is, has been diagnosed with chronically broke-ass mechanics and extreme rare use case. Through the years, Starfarer owners have had a few off and on spells of being able to actually use the damn thing. Wait, let me back up for those that don't know. So the Starfarer is a refueling ship. It's got these big ass fuel pods that you fill up, and if somebody runs out of fuel, you can come save the day with some fuel. I think it was about a few years ago when they actually fleshed out the refueling mechanics. So somebody will ask for a refuel, you show up, they request docking, you extend the refueling boom, and while they lining up, you walk over to the terminal with this nice UI that lets you choose the fuel, the pod it's coming from, the fuel price, so you can recoup your cost and make some monies, the flow rate, because you could cause some chaos and damage the boom if it's too fast, the person getting fuel inputs how much they need, the money goes into escrow, then you open a nozzle, and your customer starts receiving fuel. It was beautiful. Great alternative to the pew-pews that dominate so much of the gameplay loops. But if you played the game, how many times have you actually run out of fuel? Maybe a couple times if you've been here a few years. Probably never if you just started in the last year or two. The navigation system doesn't even let you jump if you don't have enough fuel for it. Too much hand-holdy stuff. How you gonna be the best everything sim but take the sim out of simming? Before they put the kitty protocols on navigation, I was flying around in the big reclaimer just absorbing ships with a smile on my face till I realized I was out of gas. Luckily, a citizen who finally had the chance to do the thing that his ship was made for came and refueled me out in the middle of nowhere and was so happy to do it that I don't think he even charged me anything. That's how rare the need to refuel is. You can still run out of gas by jumping somewhere without enough fuel for the return trip, but ships have so much fuel that it's just rare, eliminating the need to plan ahead, like when they phase out bed logging. So you take that, then pile on the bugs that destroy refueling a few months after they fix it every time, and you got an outstanding ship with a unique gameplay loop that either never works or there's no use for it. Disappointing, my friend. You know the whip is bad when Disco talk bad about it every chance he get. So there's a regular gray cat rock, right? And you carry it around in your ship, and when a ping returns a signal for a mineable that the rock can break down, you fly over, land, back the rock out your ship, then start mining, load up the rock, do it again. It kind of feels like a lot of steps, and before it came out, a lot of us thought we'd be driving around in it looking for minables instead of carrying it around. But a lot of folks liked it as is, no problem. Rock mining became a thing. So then I assumed somebody in another department, we'll call him Dave. Dave went up to Chris like, vehicle mining solo is kind of lonely. I don't know why Dave talks like that. I bet more people would be into it if they could do it with their buddies. And Chris was like, what, you want to do a discount on rocks? Like buy one, get one half off kind of thing? Dave was like, no, silly. We could sell a whole new vehicle with minimal impact on whatever the vehicle team is working on. Well, that sounds impossible, but I'm busy figuring out how to phase out bed logging in a game where people expected bed logging. So Dave goes down to John Cruz's office and goes, CR said you need to begin work on this immediately. And John's like, we're in the middle of... Dave interrupts him with, just strap another seat to it. Easy. And now we got this Rock DS thing. The DS stands for dual seats. To keep it a buck, I never tried the thing because never could muster a reason or the energy. So feel free to dismiss what I'm saying, but hear me out first. It's bigger, so while a Reggie Rock can easily fit in a Cuddy or a Nomad, you need something that can fit an Ursa to carry the DS around. The sidecar that the second player sits in is completely exposed to the element, so if you're in an extreme environment, you gotta take breaks back to your ship before your buddy burns up or freezes to death. Worst of all, sidecar buddy does all the gameplay while the driver drives 3 feet away from the ship, then watches Dig That videos till sidecar buddy is done. Then drives 3 feet back to the ship to leave. Not the most riveting gameplay there. At least he gets to watch Dig That videos though. Maybe if you got a young kid and you're desperate to find ways to play with them in game, then maybe. Outside of that, the Rock DS is just kind of a vehicle design blooper that you see at the end of the credits. I hesitated to put this ship on the list because it works and it does the job that it's built for. Why though? Why did they build this ship? First of all, I like Drake. You really get the best bang for your buck with them. I love the brand Scrappy. If you don't want us at your party, we'll make our own party, Underdogness. But if I'm gonna pack in with a bunch of folks and drop into a hot zone with lasers and bullets flying all over the place, a repurposed Cuddy gonna be last on the list of ships I wanna be on my knees praying in. It's not that I don't think it's safe. I know it ain't safe, but it's the feeling you get when you notice that the P8 SMG ain't much thinner than the Cuddy Steel's hull.
Millimeters of aluminum, that's it, and then nothing.
On top of that, when you can buy it, they want $235 USD for it. That's $15 away from the Drake Corsair, which by the way, I would feel much safer in. It carries 0 cargo, which is fine because that's not what it's for, but at least that would give you a little bit more incentive to pull it out when you're waiting on the claim timer for a good ship. I feel compelled to say something nice about it because I like Drake, so you could squeeze the steel into an Idris, which would make it the only dropship capable of fitting in the capital ship. There, I did it.
7.
The hover trolley. Maybe this should have been at the top of the list, but we ain't really going in no kind of order here, so let's just do it. I didn't even get the option to smell this one. They dropped it in one of the Evo releases. The next day, it was gone. Apparently, it was too bad for Evo testers to get their paws on it, which is saying something. I can't show you any of the hostile builds that Evo has put boots on the ground and marched through, but it is impressive what they survived. I say they because nowadays Evo builds are comparatively tame. By the time I joined Evo, I played maybe 1 or 2 insane builds before they became almost release ready compared to the older ones. But back to the hover trolley, pretty self-explanatory. A trolley that hovers, carries about 6 SCU of boxes and you push it back and forth. The idea and the visual is really dope, really locks in the sci-fi-ness of the game. I don't know how often folks will actually use it though. You're walking it around, so it's probably not very fast. 6 SCU isn't that much cargo. It's not exactly small, but for the amount, it's got a bigger footprint than the CSV SM. Something like the heist we saw at one of the Citizen Cons, that would be good. It'd be good for that. Load up some goods, move them out where the buddies defend it. Moving some personal items and supplies in and out of the larger ships would be nice with it. Maybe moving stuff from one side of your hangar to the other. I'm sure everybody want to play with it, but the question is how. Anyway, we don't have to worry about that for now. We weren't told what happened to it. It was just gone. It was like being in school and the teacher calling attendance and everybody's raising their hand till they get to your buddy's name. No answer. They call it again, still no answer. Then the teacher just moves on to the next person. What I heard is that it was causing major issues, glitching into geometry, even crashing servers, but that's what I heard, so I don't really know. Will we see it again though? I think if we do, it won't be for a long time. It wasn't something that was being sold, so there's no money directly in it. The Drake Mule is actually for sale, and that thing has never worked in the 3 or so years it's been around, with no signs of them getting around to it. So, To the Huntress, Lone Wolf, Eyes Open 2018, aka the OG Triple OG executive bosses, y'all support is tip top, fam. Patreons, YouTube members, super chatters, folks visiting the Boss Supply merch store. Big thanks, fam. Fly dirty citizens. Good evening and morning to you. The debut of the Ironclad generated about 1 billion videos, tours, weapon loadouts, will it fits. We're not gonna add another to the pile here. We had a different question. If you're running an actual Star Citizen org night with real players, varying degrees of patience, mixed experience levels, maybe only 5-6 people online, does Ironclad make that easier? Or does it just give you more space to be disorganized in? Well, let's put it to the test. Do me a favor though, rewind back about 7 months ago. IAE was popping off, folks were packed into the trains from the spaceport to New Babbage Vision Center, and everybody dropped to their knees and wept as the Perseus was finally there for your digital fingers to stroke. It was finally real. Some folks knew exactly what they were gonna do with the man purse. Some just wanted to be crew and hop on those big guns. Some folks had zero plans for it, they just knew it was beastly. After it was released, did the reality match their expectations? Are they now doing the things that they thought they'd be doing with them? Some folks definitely put it to work. I've been caught in the purse trap. Me and the squad put work in one. It's really good for armored up targets. Now, rewind a little further back to May 2024. CIG hit us with the Drake Ironclad concept, a big heavy-duty industrial-grade freight mover and a military version. Really unique among the Drake lineup. Apparently, children and cats ain't the only ones that see the possibilities in having a big empty box to play in. Later, the popularity of the Asgard will prove this beyond a reasonable doubt. What possibilities did citizens see in the Ironclad? In the comments of my videos about it, the term that popped up the most often was pocket carrier for both the assault and base variants. Folks wanted a mini Idris in a tighter package. Visually, it looks like it fits the bill. A big empty box with a lot of guns sprouting out of it. That'll make it a smaller org fantasy. So when it dropped, my org went to work putting that fantasy to the test. Everybody from every game knows never play on patch day, but in Star Citizen, where there's spectacles to see and ships to test, we ain't turning nothing down but our collar. So Casual Inc. does the rounds around the convention, checking out all the new. We knock back a few brews, then kick rocks to jump to the Nick system to grind rep together. Naturally, without even needing to discuss it, we default into prepping to run the Ironclad as a mini carrier. We started with a little bit of RMC that a couple of us had scraped together in the Moth. Since we're all working with a clean slate and broke as hell, is really valuable repair material for us. We have about 12 SEU to work with. We prefer more, but it seems like that'll be enough to take care of us till our wallets gain some weight. The Drake Pit Bull, which for some reason I keep calling the Bulldog, was free to rent at the convention, so we began loading them up. Super easy. In the Idris, there's always a lot of careful maneuvering as you try to maximize the space while not hitting the walls and ceiling. Landing from above the hangar kills all that and makes the process super quick. Plus the grid design makes natural parking spaces that folks settle into without needing to think about where to park. Adding a Hornet to the carrier package obviously cramps the space a little bit, but if it's tucked underneath the superstructure, it's almost completely out of the way of the Pitbull parking spaces. Putting 2 Hornets in is doable, and you get the benefit of the bigger guns, but you lose space for snubs, which means less pilots, less RMC you can stock, plus other issues we'll see later. Once we're all set, we grab a mission, share it between us, head out. I would have thought everybody would congregate in one area on the way there, but the mission-focused folks stay in or near their fighters, with the rest of us who weren't thinking about the run to the hangar are chilling at ops. If you're gonna do that last one, you better have the layout perfectly memorized, because you don't want to be going down an elevator while folks are waiting on you to take off in your ship. Luckily, I was able to get there before the hatch opened while the captain was still getting used to the ship.
We opened the hatch.
Once you see the top retract, the adrenaline starts pumping as you get ready to take off and hope that you don't become the first, or even worse, the only one to get killed in action. This is where you need a catapult officer or an agreement about the order in which ships take off in. I'm still sitting here thinking about not getting killed when I hear,
"There went one pit bull. Other pit bull want to go?"
I make it out of the beehive, then see one person hasn't even climbed in his ship yet.
You're not even in your ship.
I get to flying toward the objective and realize we're kind of spread out instead of coming in as a unified force.
Oh, not by myself over here.
So, yeah, we got off to a little bit of a rough start, but you need that initial shakedown to reveal what needs to be tightened up. Once that early group disorientation slides off, we start locking in.
I'm gonna go for the C1.
I'm also on the C1.
The rush of perforating ships together as a group is a juice that's definitely worth the squeeze with the Ironclad. Joint kills, intercepting ships that are on your buddy's tail. It's the good stuff, my friend. The new beefed up armor feature makes the fights last longer and more satisfying once you get the kill. We complete the mission by knocking out the main target, and even though there's still some stragglers, I RTB back to the Ironclad. Patch day had made it a little rough for us to finish or even start missions, so now that we have one in the back pocket, along with our first little bit of earned cash, we start feeling refreshed. Everything doesn't go smoothly though. Apparently there's some physics grid issues not worked out yet, and the second Hornet clips through our flying base. It's not just the Ironclad, this happened earlier in the Idris and it seems to be random. Hopefully that's sorted out ASAP. One of our Pitbull pilots attempts to repair, but the repair area doesn't encompass the entire hangar. You need to be on the pads near the back where our remaining Hornet is sitting. This adds some complexity to how you load your ship. You gotta have in mind where the RMC is gonna sit and be out of the way of the ships, how much of it you're gonna need versus have space for, and the package of ships you can load around it. As I'm looking through Moby, the Hornet that clipped through makes another attempt to land. As you can see, 2 Hornets are possible, but mistakes can happen that'll disable your other ships. You can repair using your RMC reserves, but if you look close, the small amount of repairs that were already made used up 4 SCU of the 14 we started with. That is a lot for what you get in return, especially when you can repair it by hand, which I'll go into later. Repairing inside of ships is cool, but right now it should definitely be reserved for extended operations where you don't have the option to stop at a space station. Needs to be some rebalance of that as we go forward. We set out for another mission. It's a patrol, and this time we start out a little tighter. Fighter pilots are all in the hangar before it's time to launch. This leg of the patrol is a protect mission, which means we're on the ticking clock, so the cavalry's inbound. Coop takes off in the Hornet and I follow in the pit. His guns, my agility. I notice there's a lot of opposition and they're not light fighters, but I'm sure we got this. And then I hear,
Hey, I need to come back to you and land and repair. My ship ain't flying.
One of our fighters was damaged trying to leave the base. The fighter's mic was off and the Ironclad started moving before the fighter had cleared the hangar. There's gotta be solid communication between the hangar and the command module pilot, or the pilot needs to have a camera preset in place that covers the hangar. That leaves us with too few ships to fight off the attackers, and the ship we're supposed to defend is blown up.
Mayday! Mayday, I'm going down!
Yeah, he blew up.
So we RTB, but since the Ironclad was already making its way toward the fight, it's close enough that the enemy follows us back. So now we gotta fight them off before we can leave. But that creates an opportunity. The captain calls for us to kite the enemy to the Ironclad's guns. The size 3s on top of the ship aren't all manned, but the difference made by getting the mothership into the fight is immediately felt. The enemies go from farm to table pretty quick. The big size 5 turret on the bottom really brings the heat, and we wrap the fight up in a few minutes. So on the next hop, I decide to make my merry way down to the hangar, slide down the gantry, and hop in the size 5 myself. When the gun makes a whirring sound, you know it's drilling peepholes in enemy ships, 12 every second. I get an Anvil Vanguard, an orange paint job, then a red livery in less than 20 seconds. He's marinated softer than baby thighs and an easy meal for the joint kill.
There you go, front guns, get his ass.
He's bouncing down.
Freelancers can get it too, piercing holes like a sewing machine. Joint kill to feed the salvagers in the park.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, that was fun.
The symbiotic relationship between the Ironclad and fighters is outstanding. When fighters stick close to base, the turrets soften up the enemy and give the fighters an easier job, and the fight is ended earlier with less damage taken all around and less RMC consumed.
Oh, that was so close. That was so close.
Yeah, it was.
Next leg is running to patrol coordinates to ping and scan monitors. Not the most action-oriented thing, but it's good for breaking up the combat. Having fast fighters makes it easy to launch and spread out to use our speed and numbers to finish the job quick. This is where one of our guys offers to give the captain a break and command the Ironclad, and he replies with,
For one, I'm enjoying this, and then 2, I also have a little bit of KFC in me. When I'm done with the super important job of flying and making sure everything's safe and eating KFC a little bit, I'll switch.
After wrapping that up, we decide to run to a station to rearm and resupply since we started with 0 monies to have that all on board to begin with. I don't know exactly what happened, but as we're getting near the station, one of the ships in the hangar blows up out of nowhere, which cripples the Ironclad and leaves us dead in the space water. Make my way down to engineering. There's nothing critical showing on the engineer panel. No issues with engines, power plant, or anything else. Captain announces he's got it back under control, so we go ahead and dock. It's a mystery, but kind of worth documenting for future reference. As everybody goes about their maintenance, I stroll up to the captain's cabin to reflect. Which is super nice, by the way. If you haven't been in it, it's a great space to be solo in. Cool views, some stogies, and a lazy Susan gun rack. In all the military movies and sci-fi I've watched, I have never seen a lazy Susan gun rack. Anywho, going out in a group of individual fighters and blowing up ships together is fun, no doubt about that, but it's not even close to the feeling of being in one ship and unleashing a wasp nest on a target, doing your combat thing, having a bigger ship supporting you, returning together, repairing, and prepping for the next run from a mobile base. It's the feeling that a lot of folks been chasing since the beginning. You could do the same thing as something like an Idris or a Polaris, but it's not the same. Those ships are huge, so you're super spread out, which is functionally fine, but there's less of a feeling of togetherness with the squad. If you're a smaller org, which most orgs are, and Idris is way more ship than they actually need. Most of your crew spends their time lost in the Idris, trying to find their way to the bridge or the med bay or the hangar. The Ironclad is relatively easy to figure out once you've been in and out of it a few times. The crew isn't spread out miles away from each other, but you are able to go find your own little space to hang out in for a while and get a change of scenery, all while being close enough to man your station at a moment's notice. You're always in close reach of the hangar, and you feel that camaraderie by proximity more. Not without its shortcomings though. The ability to stack ship supplies, RMC, ammo, and flares is fairly limited for the amount that you need to keep your ships going. The rear space, which I suppose is meant to repair ground vehicles, doesn't, at least not at that time. Maybe that'll start working later, but really it would be great if it also worked as an auxiliary storage for your ship supplies. An alternative is to bring a salvation with you. It doesn't take up a lot of space, and it can clean up your kills to resupply you. 2 salvations, even better. You can produce your own RMC at a decent rate while staying out in the field. We had a reclaimer that was salvaging our kills at one point, but one of the operators had to take off early, so we didn't get a good look at how that would have worked out over the 10+ hours we were out there. But for the missions we were doing, most of the time, freelancers were the biggest ships we came across. That could have kept us going, but I'm not sure how well the math would have worked out when you consider fuel, maintenance, the ability for the reclaimer crew to supply us, as well as make a decent profit. As we rep up and start taking down bigger targets, the economics begin to make sense, but I haven't seen what the salvage sells for yet, so I don't know how well it scales. I was strictly fighter pilot and gunner, so I didn't get to experience everything, so I asked our captain what it was like in the command module. His experience was that it felt disconnected. I asked if he meant mechanically or psychologically, and he said both. I'm gonna quote him here. Like it was one ship towing another rather than one single ship. He says you are closed off and away from the action and crew. You don't have a ton of control over the main body of the ship, and in the pilot seat, you seem far away from the main body. Feels like you're watching the ship from a tower overlooking the ship, but you can't interact with it. It would feel better if you flew from the ops center in the middle of the ship, because you would be with the crew and not be in your own little bubble outside the ship. Aside from evacuating the ship, no one but the pilot has any reason to be in the command mod. Like for example, in the Idris and Perseus, you are overlooking the ship and can see what's going on. You have crew you can see and stuff you can interact with more. You feel like you are in command of a ship. I thanked him for his insight and told him I'd send him 10 credits via Covalec shipping. I can understand where he's coming from. You do feel like you're in a tower overlooking the ship, so I can see you requesting someone to captain the Ironclad being kind of a big ask, because you're kind of asking someone to sequester themselves from the crew in action. You may luck out and have somebody that prefers that. Orgs that have introverts with good strategy might be in good hands with the captain that's in that layer of isolation where they're not in the middle of all the unruly goofiness and can sit quietly in their kingdom staying mission focused. I'm sure there's going to be times where that'll be me, somewhat separated but knowing the crew is still right there. I haven't spent large amounts of time flying the Ironclad, mostly because of bugs like its habit of switching out of nav into SCM mode, which means attempting to jump through a wormhole is likely to end in failure until they fix that. But I agree with John Cruz's perspective on it.
Number one question everyone always has about the Ironclad is, why can't I fly it from the main bit? And that's never been the idea with this ship. It has been you have like this main block of a ship, same with the Caterpillar, and the command module gives you that functionality to fly around. That's the sort of USP of these sort of ships is it's not the same as every other ship.
I'm down to accept it as that's just how these ships work. On the other hand, I think when the command mod is gone, the ability to fly from ops, even only if in SCM mode or some other limited capacity, will make a positive difference. If the command module is separated and you find yourself in trouble, maybe you've drifted into Atmo or pirates are incoming, not having any mobility would be critical. Can the SRV tow the main hull? Be kind of funny for one to come along and start towing you over to a reclaimer. The Ironclad, it's a quirky, kind of awkward, funny ship to get used to. But as crew, I love it. Being a fighter pilot on the Ironclad is dope and exhilarating and everything I imagine Star Citizen could be like. Launching from an Idris is cool, but having that limited clearance, it can't touch the experience of flying unobstructed from the cargo deck. You're more excited going into combat this way, and pit bulls are the perfect companions for the job. They're quick, they got mad squabbles, and they visually match the Ironclad so damn good. Then when you return, super easy to land in. Launching, going into combat, returning, exiting, then repairing by hand because the RMC is gone. It's the whole space shebang. That right there was my favorite part. Landing, then performing maintenance on the ship. It drives home the feeling of living your best space life on a large ship. It's almost therapeutic doing a pass on the ship, hopping in the cockpit to get a look at the status readout to see if you missed anything, then getting back out and touching it up. It's beautiful, man. It also points out the ridiculousness of how much RMC you consume on the repair pads. Repairs cost multiple SCU at a time. If you skip all that and just do it by hand, you can repair most of your damage for less than one RMC canister loaded into your multi-tool. Huge difference in RMC consumption. But you can't fix broken wings or weapons with the multi-tool, so you need the repair pad for that. It shouldn't be that huge of a difference though. Ironclad is the most interesting ship I've been on, and I don't think that's just the new ship smell talking. Casual Inc. had a good time on it, even with our group fluctuating between 4 and 7 people on board at any given time. It's sturdy, it's got size 5 torps that launch vertically. Who can't get excited by those fireworks? Side note, it took 2 volleys of 4 torpedoes to take out a powered down base variant. Not really the ship you want against hardened targets like the newly armored up Paladin, thing's a beast. The size 5 on the bottom could eventually take it down, but you're more likely to run out of ammo or get destroyed before that happens. We had to leave and then come back with a Perseus to put the Paladin down. I was asked a few times if I'd buy it, and I really didn't know at the time. I 100% wanted one for the org, because the Assault's just not a ship that you buy for yourself. I didn't really know how many folks on org already had one, and of those people, how many are on regularly. I did end up with the base variant. I already have a loaner hull C, which in some ways is better because nobody can sneak in your ship while you're by yourself loading boxes, and it holds more than double the cargo. The Ironclad has much better survivability though, and can do other things like carry vehicles and be a floating base. I dig versatility. And it has a bigger quantum fuel tank, so less stops for gas. The base model, not having a ship repair pad or a crafting station like the Assault version, is a compromise, but still being able to pack in and deliver the candy in the flying vault makes it a boss ass gift that keeps on giving. Plus you can just bring a repair tool and a fabricator. Problem solved. Big cookies and cream shout out to the Huntress, Lone Wolf, Eyes Open 2018, aka the OG Triple OG executive bosses. Y'all support is really appreciated, fam. Patreons, YouTube members, super chatters, folks visiting the Boss Supply merch store. Big thanks, fam. Fly dirty, citizens. Hey, you. Good morning and evening, all you cabin-fevered folks and hermits whose routine ain't changed at all. Whenever I break down ships, it's usually in my After Dark series, which I really love hitting y'all with. But I already After Dark the Avenger Titan, so just rock with me for a minute while I hip you to a ship you might want to check out for yourself. So grab your lockdown beverage of choice and tilt your chair back while we check out a ship you might have overlooked. I've been having a good old time with the Aegis Avenger Warlock. Not really big on light fighters since they do one job, and I like to stay ready to do just about anything. But one night, I'm out in my Drake Caterpillar getting some trade in when an Aurora starts pecking at me. It was funny, but since it was way too agile, I can't take it out without some help. So I reach out to the commission and Gotti shows up. Makes quick work of him. Like quick work. I go on about my business, making that Lucchini, and come back to the same spot. This time there's an Avenger Warlock waiting. I don't know if it's the same guy, and if it is, how long he been waiting, but he goes to work on us. He murks out some rando in the area before I can even get a good visual on him, then came straight at me barking with scatterguns or something, and I'm like, what is this kid thinking? Then I noticed the purple sphere, and I'm like, he shuts off my components and I'm falling like a rock while he's still do. Gotti swoops in, but I'm dead before I hit the ground. I wake up in PO just in time to hear Gotti say that he died too. 3 of us, dead, less than a few minutes. I can't just let that go, so I crank up the big Cuddy Black. He boosts straight at me, turns my engines off, and that's a wrap. You know how when you get beat, you start thinking about what you should have done? Maybe if I tried my damnedest to keep my distance or lob missiles as soon as I seen them. Other than that, going toe-to-toe with him would not been a good look. So what now? That's right, now I'ma need one. I gotta check this thing out. Hurston, Lorville, New Deal, 1.1 million credits. Time to fly. Wait, it's still a light fighter, so I gotta beat this thing up. Traded the stock autocannons for neutron autocannons, replaced the quantum drive with a civilian one. Slower, but uses less quantum fuel while I'm bouncing around the system. Replaced one of the shields for an FR-66, which has a lot bigger capacity and shorter recharge delay. And replaced the other with a Palisade for even bigger capacity. 2 ultra-flow coolers and a Breton power plant. Now we're ready. I never used the EMP, so I start grabbing bounties for practice. Lesson 1, you gotta arm the thing. I get my first customer. The sound effect is underwhelming. Maybe that's a bug. But look at him, he's done. He's done. You can put these boys to bed with ease. Well, since we out here shutting down ships, let's go ahead and board one.
Self-destruct sequence is online.
it's a little uncomfortable. Not a fan of this color, but the Valk is one of my favorite ships. I think we can go bigger though. I know the AI ain't crisp right now, but when you solo a hammerhead and his escort, you start to feel like a boss. So this thing is unstoppable PvE. What about PvP though? Was the pilot just that good, or is it the ship? The opportunity to find out came the same way this thing started. Took my cat out for trading, and a small organization called Smashed or something were attempting to keep the trading outpost for themselves and attacking other traders. The warden and Manish shot up my cat while running a quantum enforcement device to keep me from jumping away. A warden and a Manish against a cat with no crew. The outcome's obvious, so while they were taking it down, I called in some commission members. Captain Rico and Space Pirate McMorgan show up, and I'm ready to hit them with the da-da-da-da-da. And I bring out the Warlock. Locked. Cocked. Ready to... I jump out of the ship somehow. But Space Pirate drops them both before I make it back down to the ship kiosk. The other org wanted some more, so we gave him some. I get out there, charge up, and let loose the first chance I get. Lesson 2, timing is everything. Once you trigger it, it takes a couple seconds for it to take effect. If you're in the joust, you got a good shot at missing them because they gotta be within 1,000 kilometers for it to work at all. It's more effective in close range, which is also dangerous. Easy to get popped running in the beeline to them. The times when you are able to get close enough to fire it off, human pilots can recover pretty quick. But the shields are dropping while they're doing it. If you capitalize on those moments, then you can punch way above your weight class and drop vanguards with prejudice like Crytek lawsuits. But you're still basically in a light fighter, so it can be dangerous to get in proximity of a bigger ship that has big guns trained on you and the mass to ram you to pieces if you're not on your P's and Q's.
I'm down. Guess the Mantis rammed me and killed himself too.
If you're not, bigger guns and missiles will overwhelm you pretty quick. If 2 or more bigger ships have their attention focused on you, you might as well disengage because most likely they're gonna have their way with you. So PvE is a winner all day long. AI ships can't recover from a full dose of EMP, and you can go disable everybody and commandeer ships like a boss, then turn them on the enemy. Once you do, you can glide through claim jumper missions with ruthless impunity in a Stoli hammerhead and 6 turret gunners riding for your cause. I mean, really, you just melt the whole mining claim when you come through like Debo on a stolen bike. If you ain't get that reference, why have you not watched Friday? As far as PvP goes, it's definitely capable of pushing the button on heavy fighters, especially with the neutron autocannons.
I'm on it. Boom goes the dynamite.
But you have to be super crisp in everything. Timing, maneuverability, staying out of that line of sight. It's a good ship to practice dogfighting in since you get a bit of a safety net with the EMP blast, but know that you're not gonna walk in and wreck shop on actual players right off the bat. And you need solid backup if you're going against 2 robust ships. If you can pick your battlefield, atmospheres are the best place to fight. Enemy pilots in Atmo have to worry about restarting their ship and shields while they're in an uncontrolled dive, so take every advantage you can get. There's a bit of a weakness in the loadout I ran with, and that's leaving the stock G220s in play. Maybe it's a holdover from Elite Dangerous, but I prefer having some ballistics to fill in the gaps that energy weapons don't cover. Problem is, you get 400 rounds in each gun, and when that's depleted, half your firepower's gone till you leave and rearm. So attritions are a good option to clean up that concern. A lot of folks sleep on this ship. It's 85 USD, which is $30 more than the Titan, and a little over 300,000 credits more in game. So you look at it and you kind of go, well, I can't trade in it, and it doesn't seem as capable as a dedicated fighter. But what you get for the credits is very worth it though. It's 1.1 million, which is about the same as a base Gladius, and priced in between the Arrow and the base Hornet. You don't get the weapon hard points of a Hornet or the speed of an arrow, but you get a devastating weapon, space to carry boxes, room to stretch your legs out in QT, and a bed to log out in when you're too tired to make it to a station. Plus, it opens up some shipboarding gameplay, which gives you a full NPC turret crew and a means to make quick money in combat missions. When we get the handheld tractor beam, it'll be a great way to kickstart a pirating career. Disable a ship, transfer goods to a friend's hold, done. Somebody need help losing the cops after a prison escape? EMP to the rescue. Super versatile for complete knops, super fun ship to play with. But hey man, I'm just a brother out here tossing gems. It's on you if you want to throw on the gloves and catch them. So go out there in your ship of choice and fly dirty, Citizen. 07. Big boy shout out to the man with the best fleet carrier plan. Executive producer Ike the Subliminal Show Enough. Toss me some of them billions, man. Shout out to all the fam supporting the Dig That in Space and Mars. Salute to Commander Blackout, to Diedrichs, to the mother, Bussa Boy, Anthony Jackson, Guillotine Girl, S to the M, Generalissimo, Commander Dr. Digital, Space Pirate McMorgan, Zayla Maru, Krista Kate, Commander Leviathan Soul, Timeout 420, and Train Man Rob. Much appreciated, fam. Shout out to everybody subbed up like a boss. Fly dirty. Fly dirty. Hey, you. The question of should I upgrade from my Whole B to the Railen is on a lot of folks' minds right now. The Whole B has been a fantastic cargo ship. It's been the best choice for running multiple medium contracts or a few large contracts in a relatively small package. Now that the Railen is here, the cargo running masses have inevitably developed a little drool on their mouths for the new shiny in the skies. Is moving from 512 SCU to 640 worth the upgrade though? Is mothballing the Whole B into the buyback section your best move? Well, let's have a look-see. The difference that presents itself first is the price action moving from one to another. The Whole B is the absolute best bang for your buck to move that much cargo. The Whole B's trade value is 280 USD. If you want a war bond over to the Railen, 360. So you gotta cover an $80 price gap. You can play the CCU game by spending 10 to get to the Stinger, giving you a trade value of 315. Then CCU to the Railen for $45 more, cutting that $80 price gap down to 55 total. Other option is the Railen's non-war bond price of 400 USD. You can scroll through your RSI hangar and look for $120 worth of ships, vehicles, maybe patch bundles you're willing to sacrifice, all in the name of the new. But if you think about doing it, what, if anything, are you getting for said new over the Whole B besides a new piece of eye candy? Don't get twisted, the eye candy is real though. The Railen interior is what we in the industry call the hotness. Before, I said it reminds me of this one spot in Vegas, but now I think it's more like Area 51 in Vegas. Everybody that went to Quantum Vegas last year knows what I'm talking about. Railen is strong enough for cargo, but pH balanced for beauty. The whole B has a comfortable interior. Nothing flashy, but it's built like it's intended to give you a pause from being on the clock, like a mid-sized company break room, as opposed to something like the Raft or the Ironclad where you're visually notified that you are on the job at all times. Being in the whole B is like working at Lumen Industries in Severance versus working at like a really cool resort. You're working, but you will still hang out there after your shift. In Star Citizen, they both really good places to get the work done though. Both are good options to make money, from stacking a bunch of small planetary or stellar gigs to high-paying contracts that will send you to stations and outposts and other systems. Right now, freight elevators? Wow, no bueno, but from the perspective of when they're working as intended, how you access them is a big deal, and you do it differently depending on what ship you're using. The whole B is narrow, but in cargo mode it's about 20 meters longer than the Railen. At 71 meters, you're not going to run into many problems cozying up to the freight elevator. About a 45-degree angle is often ideal to reach both the cargo grid and the freight elevator without having to move around much on foot. We'll get to the ship tractor beams later, but I said on foot because in my experience, the Atlas or even a tractor rifle are oftentimes the quickest options. The problem with the B, as others have also noticed, is that having a grid on each side of the ship, you might have to reposition the ship to get the other side by the freight elevator. You can maybe go to the other side and throw boxes over, but it's not a great way to go, especially when the other side's pretty full. So it's best just to reposition the ship. But if you're in a hangar, you got a problem. The whole B is assigned a medium hangar, which is fine until you need to fill both sides of the grid. When it's extended, it's too long to turn it around so that the other side's facing the freight elevator, so you might have to throw whatever you can't fit on one side back down the elevator, then move the ship to the other freight elevator. It's just an extra step or two, but that's time you could have spent moving cargo. And time is money, man. Be dope if you could just lift the ship up, then spin the spindle so the boxes end up on the other side. Railen's built more like a 2 SCU box standing horizontal, so it brings nearly as much cargo as the C2 while only using like half the space on the ground. This gives you much easier access to outpost elevators with limited room to land around. Both ships have exterior cargo grid, which is clutch for quick loading, but the difference maker is the cargo grid being situated on the Railen's cakes. Being able to give the Railen a BBL, look it up, kills those extra steps of moving the ship around so that the desired side of the cargo grid is facing the elevator. They definitely beat moving cargo from inside something like the hurt to the exterior of the ship. There are a couple of nitpicky things, like using the ship tractor to place cargo behind one of the blast shields can be tricky, or getting around the reduced depth perception you have since the tractor beam faces the grid at 90 degrees, but overall it's a breeze. There is another important difference between the tractors that gives the edge to the whole B. The whole allows you to sit in the co-pilot seat and switch between the tractor beams, so if you could position yourself to give both beams access to the elevator, you can load both sides of the ship from one seat. The Gatok has designated seats for each tractor beam with no option to switch to the other beam, so as cool as that seat animation is, you're going to be seeing a lot of it if you want to move cargo from the luxury box seats of the interior to put a little damper on your speed. As far as ship speed, Railen's on top. Railen runs 170 meters per second in SCM versus the B's 145. They both boost to 340. In nav mode, the Railen tops out at 1,000 and the B's top speed is 960. Not the whole story though. Whole B accelerates 2 to 3 Gs faster in SCM and nav mode more than the Railen though, so when you want to get in and out of dangerous locations faster, the whole B is the go-to for getting your ship, your cargo, and your cheekage out of the fire without a fight and on to the next location. The whole also has better quantum range. It's moving less mass, so even with the same drive, depending on which one you get anywhere between 40 and 60 giggity meters more distance out of the hole before stopping for gas, old vending machine food, and cigarettes. I'm sure this is obvious to everyone, but if you do get in some static, the Railen is more likely to survive a beating. The whole B has about 10,000 more total HP, but the armor crown goes to Railen, giving it much more damage deflection. Plus your cargo is better protected once you drop the blast shields around it. The idea with the whole is to avoid a fight, but if it is unavoidable, the Railen can soak up more damage and it can give it back. I don't know who is taking the whole B out for some shipsty cuffs, but I just know somebody's out there doing it. I mean, technically can, but why? You get to trading blows, you're gonna be salvaged pretty quick. Railen can actually throw some hands though. You're not gonna beat somebody in a turn fight with it, but if you can wheel the ship into a firing position, you can let loose them size 4 dogs trying to jump off the leash and put a hole in something. And if you got gunners, they size 4s can join in on a fat 4 movement to go ahead and leave some treats for the salvations. This gives the Railen some additional versatility that the hull just don't got. Maybe you don't need a hauler that does other things, but if you do, the Railen can haul, it can grab the odd combat contract to break up the rhythm a bit. It's a solid ship for ground ops with all the gun racks and suit lockers when that's ready, and all the many miles and kilometers of potential loot storage. The hull can do most of these things, but just not as well. The hull is best used for what it was made for. Cargo contracts, integrating into group operations like running minables to refineries or getting your own refined ore home, which I used it for a lot. $280 and it runs with the big dogs of hauling. Wasn't sure if I was gonna cover this, but paints. The hull is lacking. It has a cool, sleek shape for a hauler, and it should have some super slick paints to show that off. The understated dusk paint and the horizon paints are dope, except for the white belly that kind of throws off the rest of the ship, but they should also have some Skittles and Starbursts in the mix. Where's the candy coat with the flakes in it? The Railen has a more interesting mix, not by light years though. It's all subjective, but I'm not a fan of the muted, kind of ashy Insularis joint. When I first saw it, I thought it was weathered or damaged. Some folks dig that style though. The shapes are wild, so these ships got a pop. So while the white, the gold, the green, and even the base paints are a little spry, I want to see CIG go crazy on the next round. Anywho, the speed of the whole B makes it the better choice for getting in and out of pickups and drops as quick as possible, especially if you don't need to fill both sides to capacity. For sheer volume and the ability to defend yourself and your cargo, the Railen's the way to go. If you had to choose just one, some questions arise. Do you already have a hauler with more capacity than the hull that can use outposts effectively? By effectively, I mean get your cargo grid close enough to the freight elevator that it's not a trek to move cargo like with a cap ship. If you don't, Railen's a meaningful upgrade to both cargo and the flexibility to do other game loops without having to stop and grab another ship first. If the answer was yes, you already have a bigger hauler, Railen's more of an optional luxury. Upgrading from the hull B, not gonna change your life. In fact, there's a good chance you're gonna miss it if you do. Sometimes the less complicated ship is the right call. Just ask all the rabid fans of the empty box called Asgard. Railen's beautiful, but it is a little lonely if you're the only person roaming around all that interior space. I'm actually a little hesitant to apply the upgrade to the whole B because it feels a dedicated role that the Railen, as cool as it is, can't fill, being small enough and fast enough to get between drops without a fight. Especially if you stealth it out, which isn't even an option for the big Railen. Hull B, with its quickness and ability to toggle through tractors, gives it an edge as a solo runner. 512 SCU in a quick package. Railen, very capable running solo, but with a crew, it can run anywhere with confidence. I'm actually pretty curious how many people are doing multi-crew cargo runs though. Only done it on a handful of occasions myself, but maybe it's a decent amount of folks doing it together on the regular. Let us know, then check out this vid for no reason. Fly dirty, citizen.